Hello and welcome to Chick Chat and Chill. I'm Antoinette, one of your co-hosts, and want to welcome you. I'm the owner of Pixel This, which is a full-service design firm. So we've catered to the brands of Snapple and Unilever and MasterCard and all these big brands, but even the little guys, we help you look like $1,000,000 too. You're never too big or too small for our services, and everyone could always use a refresher and always want to put your best foot forward. So before we dive in deep to today's episode, I'm going to introduce Laura, my co-host.
Hi, I'm Laura Fickett, owner of Fickett Financial Coaching, where we help people make more money, manage it better, and retain it to build their wealth. I work with individuals and business owners. I have an 8-week workshop program that's guaranteed or it's free. You have nothing to lose, everything to gain. Well, I mean, you'll lose a little bit of time, but you'll gain a ton of money. I like teaching people how to be wealthy. So the topic today has nothing to do with money, actually. It's to do with how to make friends as an adult, which is a tough one. When we were talking about doing this topic, I just think it's something that people need, because when you're in school, like my son can make friends with anyone, my elementary schooler, and even like middle school is pretty good. High school, maybe it's a little harder. College, you got to get involved in some activities, but as an adult, you can make associates and you can make, acquaintances, but to make actual friends, man, I've had a hard time. Have you, Antoinette?
Yeah, I think it's something everybody struggles with, and it's something that I don't know. Sometimes I talk to people and they feel almost taboo. Like, is there something wrong with me? Like, I don't have friends, and it's not you. I think it's something people struggle with. Like, life gets in the way. You have relationships and work, and sometimes I don't know. I think that people kind of lack it's not like, hey, can I borrow your red crayon and now we're friends? You know what I mean? There is a little bit more tact and finesse to that. So
I can't believe you shared the story on how we became friends, like so early in the show. I was going to leave that one till later. I never got the crayon back. Just saying, put your name on things when you loan them. I think the other problem is that like the people don't know, like, I'm in my 40s. And so I'm not who I was when I was in my 20s. And like, I don't want to explain to people how I got to 40. Like, I don't want to rehash all of that stuff to become friends and to build that bond. It seems like when I talk to people about making friends, they say like, it's a lot of work. And it is, like, building a relationship is a lot of work. And really, as you get older, I hate to use the word crotchety.
I'm glad you said it, because I was going to work it in later. No.
I don't know. I think we all just get more like skeptical, crotchety, cranky, like, and we're our own worst enemy because we don't put ourselves out there like we did when we were younger either.
Yeah. And I think that's a huge thing to hit on is to make friends, you do have to put yourself out there, and you do have to do something that's a little uncomfortable. But fact is, you can make friends pretty much anywhere. You could go to the gym. I mean, just to name some spots, there's networking groups. If you have any hobby, do you play tennis? Somebody there, at the grocery store. I mean, I've made friends in all walks of life. I mean, I think I'm different than most because.
Yes. I think so too.
No, but for I think a lot of people struggle socially with people. Like, for me, I have no problem initiating a conversation with pretty much anybody, and I think people struggle with that. And I think the main thing is just relax and just be open to, start a conversation. And it doesn't have to be like, oh my God, this is someone I take the stress out. Like, this is somebody I want to be friends with. Let me say something. Just start talking to people little by little in everyday life, and you'll just become more comfortable that when you meet somebody that would make a good friend, it's not like, oh my God, this is the first person I spoke outside of my family in the last 3 months.
We might need to do a segment on like how to speak to people.
Yeah.
That might be a part two to this topic.
Yeah.
Because I'm thinking to myself, oh my gosh, people are going to watch this and be like, well, Antoinette, here's the problem is I don't like talking to people. And so that's how it's hard to make friends. So maybe, maybe there's a group that likes to go to the movies, right? And you can start being part of that group because
Or like a book
people don't
club.
talk during movies or book clubs or things where there's less extroverted interaction and more introverted type of stuff. Introverts get together too. Like,
But one of the things that I want to kind of bring up too, and I see this a lot, like when it comes to friends, you've probably heard this, where you're the sum of the 5 people that you spend the
yes,
most time with.
absolutely.
And I think a lot of people forget that. And you have to be really careful about who you decide to spend that time with. So when it comes to friendships, I think there's 2 things I want to kind of discuss here. One is you have the people that you've been friends with since, I don't know, elementary school. And sometimes you've actually outgrown each other and they're not healthy friends to keep, or maybe family members that you're spend a lot of time with. Like, you're in charge of picking those 5 people that you spend that time with. So you can't pick your family and stuff like that. Like, you could be cordial, but really make sure friends are people whose values are in line with yours.
Yes.
I mean, like me and Laura, about very, very different as far as interests, but I think our values are very similar. And I think that's why we're such good friends. The fact that, I draw and she loves traveling and I do, in the end, we still have the same moral compass.
We're still driven. We're still
Yeah.
we still take passion in what we do. Like we have a lot of core values that are the same.
Yeah. But I mean, do you notice that where, I mean, I'll see people and their friends and they almost like make excuses with their friends, like, oh, don't mind them, they this, or,
Yeah, well, I mean, at least they have friends, right? Because this podcast is about making friends. So I guess at least you have friends.
Yeah.
I think as an adult, though, like, yes, the 5 people that you're the closest to, like, that shows through. But if you're moving to somewhere new, so I moved from Massachusetts to Florida, and I didn't have any friends down here in Florida except one, a best friend from when I was 15, and that lives like 45 minutes away. But yeah, I had to make new friends. And so what I found is that making friends requires time, right? And the thing is, we only have 168 hours in a week. And so if you're going to be investing in someone else, you have to not do something. So like, say I want to go play poker for the evening, 3 hours, that's 3 hours that I'm not at home, or 3 hours that I'm not doing something else. So it's like time trading too. But if you want to make friends, I think you have to make the time first. Like the step number 1 is make the time to build the relationship. So whether you're going to join a networking group, or you're going to join a pickleball or a bowling league, or you're just going to go out and do trivia on Tuesdays or Thursday nights, or you're going to join a church group or a Bible study or any of that, you have to make time for the activities, but you also have to make time for what I call a networking follow-up. But follow-up, say you join a Bible study, you want to make a little bit, the Bible study is going to be an hour and a half, and then you want to set aside another hour and a half during the week to maybe text people or call people or email people in the Bible study so that you can deepen your relationship. Just showing up for the event probably isn't going to get you any friends. You have to put in extra time, individual time with those people. So I like, because I like math, I like the systematic approach. So the systematic approach to making friends, I'm going to write a book. Step 1, make time for an activity. Step 2, make time to follow up after the activity, and find the people, don't just pick anyone. Like Antoinette said, find somebody that has the values that when you get older, you know who you click with and who you don't click with, basically.
Yeah.
Don't invest time with the people you don't click with. Because do you want to be hanging around with them more?
Yeah.
I don't.
And then the other thing is too, there's plenty of stuff. I mean, there's finding time and also fitting them into the time that you have. So there's plenty of things that I do and I'm fine doing solo, but I'm more than happy to invite somebody along too. Like if there's an art show going on in my town, I'm going to go there whether I have company or not, but it takes 2 seconds to go, hey, maybe somebody that you met at the gym or somebody you met at a networking thing, or they mentioned something, whatever, that they're going to be in town that week. It's really easy to just have them tag along, and then you get to know each other. And like I said, it doesn't have to be a real, it could be a low key event. And again, you get to, talk a little bit, see if you guys click, and then you could just make, other events that you're doing anyway. Like, let's say there's a movie you wanted to watch. Well, invite somebody along. It doesn't always have to be like taking stuff away, but maybe there's something you would have loved to go to, but you feel weird going by yourself. So ask somebody.
Yeah, it's true. I remember having this conversation with my cousin about eating, how Americans, like, they eat in the car and they eat in the flyer, they forget to eat. But over in Europe, people actually never eat alone. So like at breakfast, they might eat with their spouse or with their family. And at lunch, they might eat with a colleague or someone in business. And then in the evening, they eat with friends. And I think, like, I was thinking about this topic and I was thinking that's a good way to try and deepen a relationship with friends too. Don't eat alone. Like,
break bread, literally.
Literally break bread with people. Like, start once or twice a week saying, I'm going to, ask this person to go out to lunch. Everybody needs to eat. So chances are when you say, hey, do you want to go to lunch? That might be, and then as you're talking over lunch, that might be the start of a great friendship. Or, you might be like, wow, I just can't stand how they chew. And I never, ever, ever want to be friends with this person. That happens.
No, but I think that's a really good point, because I think there's definitely like red flags and green flags with friendships as well. You know what I mean? Like,
chewing too loudly with your mouth open is a problem.
But that's why me and Laura never eat together. I'm kidding. But also, like, to see how they treat other people. Like, they might be great to you, but how they are maybe to wait staff is very telling in what kind of person they are. And there are certain things, like, for me, like, I really don't get along with really bossy people. Like, I would never tell anybody how to live. So if somebody's going to be like, well, why'd you, I'm fine if I ask for their opinion. I want it to be very honest. And I think that's important of a friend. If somebody asks you for their honest opinion, give it. And
you don't like the shoulders. Like,
no.
Oh, you should do, you should,
no.
like, you should leave before I hurt you.
Yeah. But, but there, can you think of any other red flags
Well, like I said, you really have to, as you get older, hopefully you've gathered a database of what you like and what you don't like, and what feels good, what doesn't feel good, what sends off alarm bells, or, what repulses you and what doesn't repulse you. And so I was telling somebody that, being the mathematic person, like the accountant person, everybody starts at 50% on my scale, right? My husband, everybody starts at 0. You're going to climb your way up the ladder for him. But for me, I'm like starting everybody, giving everybody the benefit of the doubt. Like, within a first meeting, I can tell, like, oh, well, our values don't line up. I'm a Christian. I follow Jesus. That might be like a red flag right there, that our value system just isn't lining up. So I'm going to try and lead them to Jesus, and then he can take the wheel. And it's not my job to be their shepherd. And so if if it doesn't feel okay, then maybe that person drops down to 40% or 30%. But then I'm like, there's other people that I'm like, oh my gosh, like, I feel so energized talking to them. Like, it was the conversation flowed so easily. Like, when Antoinette and I met for the first time, like, for 4.5 hours, we could have talked, and now we get to talk every week.
No, but it's funny because we literally talk for 5.5 hours, and then we like texted the whole
I know.
And then we called that night. I mean, it was just a perfect pairing, you know?
Because it was easy.
Yeah.
I think that is the key too, is that finding a relationship that's easy.
Yeah.
Someone told me a long time ago that a friend in need is a pest. And so
is that why you're not friends anymore? And this is goodbye.
We are still friends. Hello. It's been over 20 years. But it's true. Like, it's not, sometimes friends need each other, right? But being needy is a different thing,
Yeah.
So, If it's easy, it's supposed to be easy. I mean, that can go for relationships too. Like for you younger people out here that are trying to date, like it's not supposed to be so hard and so complicated and so emotional and so dramatic, and it's supposed to be peaceful and easy. And not that there's not going to be ups and downs in any relationship, but the 80% of it's supposed to be fairly easy.
Yeah.
So when you meet somebody, if it's easy, then keep going. If it's not easy, then turn around and go the other way.
Yeah. The other thing that I think it's important to say is a lot of people put up these pretenses. You know what I mean? Like they have this social media, like, oh, my perfect child, or oh, I just got this promotion, and they don't want to share the bad stuff of their life, which I get. You shouldn't do that on social media, but when it comes to friends, you want to be a little raw. You know what I mean? If you're going through something, it's more likely to bring you guys closer if you actually share, like, I'm glad you called. I'm having a really bad day, and this is why. Then you put on a happy face and, just pretend everything's right, because then they sense that you're being dishonest, and it all of a sudden starts this rift between you. Like, granted, if every time they call you there's a disaster, maybe get some counseling. Yeah,
in need is a pest.
Yeah, no, but you know what I mean. Like I've seen the people that they're always trying to be perfect, and I'm not a jealous person by nature. If somebody wins the lottery, or they have this great celebration, they win this award and they're honored I'm like, good for them. I don't think that makes me any less of a person, where so many people like all of a sudden feel the need to like, now let me bump myself up because I feel inadequate. And I see that destroying a lot of friendships, or it just doesn't, you don't come across as authentic. Nobody likes the one-upper. Granted, I have crazy life stories. That's just my title. That mine are real.
Or they're imaginary.
They're real in my
still out.
They're real in my mind.
I think what we're doing right now, laughing. I think that's an important part of an adult relationship with friends. If there's somebody that every time you talk to them, you feel drained and strained and whatever, or somebody that you're laughing with that boosts you up, you feel good with, go more towards those and less towards the other people. But I mean, back to my, because I like checklists, right? So I told you have to make time for an activity, then make time for people. You can actually I know this is going to sound too methodical, but you can actually schedule time in your phone, like call your friends, call your family, call your friend, like text your friends. I mean, technology makes it so easy to stay in touch with people, but you can look on their social media and something came up, and instead of just commenting on social media, what to me determines developing an actual friendship is if I see it's their birthday on Facebook, for example, and I consider them a friend, or I want to be a friend with them, then I text them happy birthday. I might still post it on Facebook, but I will text them. Or if I see that their child graduated or something, I'll text them, oh my gosh, I'm so happy for you. And I think opening up the one-to-one communication with your phone, like texting and calling, is important in developing the relationship, rather than just being part of a group on social media that's celebrating with the person. You want to, I used to tell people this all the time, that it's like a bank account, right? So think about it this way. You open up a bank account and you put money in, and then you have a balance, and there's another person that puts money in, and then you're both putting deposits in there. And then sometimes maybe your friend needs to withdraw, and sometimes maybe you need to withdraw. But if you're both making a lot of deposits into this joint bank account, then there's always going to be prosperity. If one person's making too many withdrawals, then the bank account becomes overdrawn and you have to close the account. sorry. I've had to close the account on some friends because they become overdrawn.
Yeah.
But that's what I think about it. Like, you have to invest and invest and invest and invest. And sometimes you can make withdrawals, but you have to put deposits in before you can make withdrawals. People that I meet that are withdrawing right away, I'm like, you didn't even open up the bank account first. Like, what are you doing here? You're like overdrawn on an account we didn't even open together. It's crazy. I know. You're like, wow, she really is a CPA.
I know.
Yeah.
I'm like, did I say that out loud? Was that not my inside voice?
Yes. But it's a good analogy, I think.
Yeah. No, I think it's a great analogy. And it's one of those, like, as you were talking, I was thinking of other things that develop friendships. And one thing that Laura does, and I mentioned it before, like, she has this, people know, like, on such and such date every month, she has like a girls' night in. And the fact that she goes out of her way to, like, I feel like a very valued friend to her. The fact that she spends this time to research different things that she thinks we would all enjoy. And I know that I should block off this time in my month because I want to spend that time with her. So I think there's a couple things to digest there. Is, number one is show that you actually care for that friend. And when you feel like the person's doing something valuable to you, let them know. You know what I mean? Like,
oh, it's so sweet. I feel so loved today.
No, but it's one of those that, I mean, you could sit there and be like, oh, I love when she does this, or I love this, but tell her. I mean, that would make such a big difference. Like, if you never share the things you enjoy about the stuff they do, then how are they going to know that you're enjoying it? I mean, it's one of those. And then the other part of that is she developed kind of like a little ritual. So it's kind of nice in friends that you do have, like, hey, maybe your ritual is every time, maybe both of you share the same actor, that every time they come out with a new movie, you both go to open, you know what I mean? Like, develop these cute little rituals that on shared interests, that is just between the two of you, and it becomes your thing. And I think that's something really interesting. Or if it's, you're both into art, when this art show comes into town, or, concerts. I mean, there's so many different things but at the same time, if something happens in that person's life and they can't make that, be understandable too. Because I've seen people, like, they know that, the next Mission Impossible we were supposed to see and their father died, and that was so unfair. Like, like, give them some grace, which I think that's another topic that is very important with your friends, is giving them grace. And Laura, I think she could really speak to this. I mean, she mentioned this at a networking meeting where I think a lot of people are and I have a tendency to be very stickler with some things, but in the end, people are people and everybody's fallible, and you just gotta be understanding and kind. I think that's the biggest thing.
It happens even in church. Okay, so we're sitting there, and we have the pastor speaking about a topic, and somebody's cell phone goes off. And what is your first reaction? Like, oh, why didn't they silence their cell phone? And I'm just like, okay, well, you know what? They forgot. If you want grace in your life, you have to give grace. And so I just think, well, I feel compassion for them. They must probably be embarrassed that they forgot. I don't feel angry with them, or I don't feel like they're rude or anything like that. I give them grace because I want grace in return. And so the one thing that Antoinette was mentioning, like, if you have something in common, if you don't have anything in common, but you really do like this person, maybe try something new. I remember, so when I was in my early 30s, my friend Mandy, who we've been friends for a very long time. We're best friends. She lives in South Carolina, but she had asked me at the time, we were both living in Massachusetts together, do you want to play roller derby? And I'm like, my rule is kind of like, I'll say yes if I don't have a really good reason to say no. So that's how I learned how to play roller derby. And she didn't know how to play. I didn't know how to play. We kind of knew how to skate, barely. But we did that together with another friend of ours, Christy, and it was a lot of fun. So you can say to somebody like, hey, would you like to go take a sewing class or something like that? And they'll be like, yes, I've always wanted to learn how to sew. And then that's something you two enjoy together, and it's something that you've created together and that you can do together, and it's something unique with that one person that you started sewing together. Like my son's girlfriend Marley, her and I took sewing lessons, and like now we sew together. It's something that her and I have together. So it's kind of nice too to develop the friendship. So I think those are some really good tips, and I can't believe we're already getting like the hook. Like
It's like rapid. I could go on about this topic forever.
I feel like that we say that every single week. You're like, you guys are getting redundant because you say it every week. So but we have to wrap things up. And so I was thinking about like a really good topic. My husband just bought a new vehicle, and car buying and the whole entire process can be very stressful. And so we like to come up with things that we can talk about and chat about that, are helpful to you guys. So next time we meet, we're going to be talking about the car buying process. Do you keep it? Do you fix it? Do you buy new? Do you buy used? Like all the stress and everything that goes in there, and we might consult some experts, and so that we have some real information, not just two chicks chatting. So
Homework.
Homework for us. They're not going to script it for sure, but it's a stressful process, and hopefully the next podcast, when you listen to it, it'll help you with the process if you're going through it now, or if you can send it to someone. So until that time, never stop learning
And never stop laughing. See you next week.